House. It's a semi-detached on the left-hand side. It was $151,000 back then, and I only had to put $11,000 down. For my experience with this house, as soon as I moved in, I started renting out rooms, and then I realized like I could live for free, and this was awesome. I was still a full-time student at Western, so I decided that I wanted to get into real estate and look into these types of investments. At first, it was just like I was just trying to save money, and then as I expanded into real estate and looked into Airbnb, I was able to save up for my next house that I bought much faster because of the Airbnb income coming in. I completed a 4-year degree at Western, and I've been a landlord in some capacity ever since. I have tried lots of different ways of renting. I have tried different ways of finding tenants. I know what the best way to find them is. I have experienced different types of tenants and rental situations since 2010. I got my real estate license in 2013, and obviously high interest in rentals and making money. So how did I get into Airbnb? I love traveling. I'm a huge person for traveling, and I decided to go on a trip to Germany. I went into Germany and did not know that in Cologne, Germany, Comic-Con was going on. I don't know if any of you know what that is. So yeah, it's a Comic-Con.
We're just in Toronto.
Yeah, so what Comic-Con was in Toronto, so you can imagine everything was booked, and I had no idea this festival was going on. I land in the airport at 4 in the morning, and I go to book a hostel or look into a hotel, and there's nothing. And I never tried Airbnb, and I called my sister. Obviously it was a different time zone back here, and I was like, okay, my adventurous nature might have bit me in the butt on this one. I have nowhere to stay. And she said, go do Airbnb. And I said, I was really reluctant to try it because I didn't know who I was staying with, and it was in a foreign country. So, but I'm really glad that everything turned out the way it did, because I ended up staying at someone's house, and it was his first time hosting. He had a 2-bedroom apartment, and I got my own room and my own key to his place. And then I realized how much I had to pay for this room because all the hotels and all the hostels were booked, and Airbnb has something called smart pricing. So it can jack up the price when the need is higher, and you can go lower on the price when the need is lower. And I was thinking like, oh my God, this guy's making a lot of money off me. Then he took me out to the local restaurants. I knew where to go. It was a really cool experience. So I came back to Canada, and I thought, I'm gonna put one of my rooms, because I had an empty room on this original house I had bought. I'm gonna put one of my rooms on Airbnb, thinking there is no way people are gonna wanna go to London, Ontario to vacation. It's like, there's nothing to see here, there's probably nothing to do. I got booked very quickly, and I started adding more rooms from that home on there, and I've been booked pretty off, like for the majority of the time since I started hosting. Eventually, because I had the extra Airbnb income, I was able to buy another property. So that's how I kind of got into it. I also learned about the tax benefits of renting. So whether you're a live-in host or you're renting it out and doing it with paying a live-in host or a discount rent, I'm sure most of you have already kind of know about tax benefits. So the bills that you pay for hydro, gas, internet, Netflix, even Netflix can be included, all end up being a write-off. So claiming it, you have to claim it to the government because it's the law, but it's actually of a tax benefit for you to claim it as well, because all your bills are a write-off. I'm not a tax expert, but I do highly suggest looking into an accountant. I just wanted to touch on the fact that the money ended up being better to claim it and then claim all your bills, because it ended up making capital gains less, if you guys know anything about capital gains. So I tried a bunch of different ways for renters. Facebook is huge for me. I have a huge social network. Kijiji, Realtor.ca, of course, and Airbnb. I know how to attract the right guests in each area and which media platform is the best to do so. Also, I know how to cater to Airbnb guests or students, depending on what you're trying to attract to the property. I've lived in London 10 years on and off, obviously from traveling and living here. This is where my brokerage is. But the market knowledge in London You could either overpay or underbid and lose a great investment if you don't know exactly about the neighborhood and what's going on there right now. In the last 3 months, it's changed rapidly, even more so than the last 6 months. Some homes, like I said before, are going 5,000 over list, and some are going 40,000 over list, and some I've still seen at list. So you really need to know what area it is. Being up to date is key. I've worked with different types of investors, and for London, Ontario, I know how to balance budget, risk, and type of investment with the investor. Because some people want hands-on, they want to be involved, they can oversee the app with a manager. There's basically a way on Airbnb you can have a co-host, so you can still see everything that's going on. And there's other investors that are like, I just want to buy a house and have it rented out and have nothing to do with it essentially except receiving the checks. So there's different ways to do it in London, and balancing that is my expertise. Market access. Connect sucks. If you guys have ever had to use Connect to try to get information off another board, you know it's slow. I pay for board access in London, Kitchener, Waterloo, and Cambridge. I live in London. The market speed right now is that you need to be able to get to a listing as quickly as you can, and you need to be able to get the comparables that are as up to date as possible, and you need board access for that. Why drive 2 hours if you can refer your clients to me and then you don't have to do any work at all? For the agents that are attending today, I'm offering a 30% referral on closing for the investors that you might send my way on a $300,000 home that's somewhere around $2 grand. I put some numbers up there. Obviously, realtors love math and hearing how much money they're going to make. So you can get that just for introducing me to a qualified investor. And then you don't have to do any work. Some people, I'm sure, are sitting here and thinking, I can do it myself. And I'm just here to tell you, no, you can't. London has an e-key system. Does anyone know what the e-key system is? Yeah. Okay, 2 people, no? Okay, you have to basically pay to get the electronic access to get into any house on the board in London. So you can't get into the listings without it. And I actually heard a story in a Realtor group women about a guy from Toronto driving down on the way with clients in his car who didn't know that the showings that he booked he needed an e-key for. And then the listing agent was like not willing to help out, unfortunately, in that situation. So he drove people to London and was unable to get into the houses.
Tell me more about the key system again.
So the London St. Thomas Real Estate Board, it's called L-Star. You have to pay them to get the electronic key access. They have like these big blue electronic key holders essentially, and that's what's on either the door handle or the fence or wherever it is. And then your phone has Bluetooth, or you get a separate electronic key, and you have to bring that in with a PIN. You also have to fill out paperwork with your brokerage to get everyone to sign to say you're approved to get it.
Something physical.
Yeah.
I have access to the L-Star, and they never mentioned anything regarding that.
You don't have the e-key app on your phone?
No, I haven't. I go as far as getting the listing, getting the access to the system, but I haven't shown or go and see any houses yet.
So it's definitely something to be aware of. It's actually a better system than what we have in Toronto because they can track everyone who goes into any house. If I open it up with my e-key, firstly I have to put a code in every time I open up a door. Secondly, the listing agent immediately gets all my information and the exact time I'm there. You pull out the bottom of the key, you go in, and then when you put the bottom of the e-key holder back in, they know that you've left and the showing's done. So it's just a different system, but it does require different technology.
So this system is put into place by the London board, is it?
Yeah, the London St. Thomas Real Estate Board.
London and Windsor, we all have.
Any other questions on the e-key?
And since you know you have access to all the board that I have access to, so I love KW that they have the e-showing, the booking.
Yeah, that is
so
awesome.
fast. London don't seem to have that, right?
No. The KWAR one is the only one I found, and I totally agree with you. It has like a smart route and everything. It plans out your day on the map, so you don't even have to do anything. And I had a listing in Kitchener, and I was getting really irritated calls from realtors like, why aren't you on the board? Now I know why. It's because they couldn't just plug my showing into the rest of them and get on the smart route. So it was a lot of extra work for them to pick up the phone and call and book the appointment.
Yeah, it was so convenient that, sometimes the one that doesn't have the show tab, I don't even book to see it anymore because it's inconvenient.
Yeah, it can be very inconvenient. So yeah, the All-Star board access is immediate. I pay for board access year round, we've already talked about that. Once you add on a board access, e-key fee, driving time and gas costs, multiple trips to London, you're cutting into your commission anyways, so you can stay in the GTA and focus your resources and still get paid 30%. So in my London experience, setting up a rental in its initial stages is vital to its success, especially if you're gonna go the Airbnb route. Each area caters to a different type of student or Airbnb traveler. I don't think I touched on this yet, but in Airbnb, I get a lot of doctors that are on 1 month rotations. These are my favorite guests. They're always the politest, they spend a lot of hours at the hospital, and they're clean, and they're so focused obviously on their end game, which is getting their doctors after the last month. Yeah.
Question. With your Airbnb, say if you buy a house, right? Your business is, if we have a house that has got 4 bedrooms,
Yeah.
and then on Airbnb, which you, the manager will live in 1 bedroom?
Yeah, in that setup, there's a person, basically I find a live-in manager, and then they sign a lease, they're responsible to live in the house, if you want to do that type. And then they're responsible for renting out the other rooms in the house.
And so would Airbnb be okay if I have, in that situation, would there be rental, would there be doctors that rent one room and the other doctor
Yeah.
rent the other?
I find that doctors especially are on a budget, so there is like complete units that they can rent, and they're all available on Airbnb, but usually they've spent a lot of money on medical school, they're traveling, their rotations are 2 weeks or 1 month, and yeah, they book for that short period of time. It's not just that, it's concerts in London. Going to London